In this video, I'll walk you through 10 lessons I've learned from reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you're new here, my name is Olivier and I'm a certified math and physics teacher in Ontario who is currently doing a master's in statistics at Carleton University. Atomic Habits was a great book, one of the best books I've read in a long time. So if you want to read more about my review and the book notes I took, make sure to check the link in the description below. It's one of the most extensive reviews I've read online, and James Clear even retweeted one of my tweets from creating a mind map that you can access in the link below. You can even download the PDF if you want to print it and put it on your wall. Okay, so lesson number 1. James Clear says, small habits don't add up, they compound. So what that means to me is that I usually tend to think that things, if you do it one time, you go 1 unit better. You get 1 unit better, right? But that's not really how it works. You might do, like the first 6 months of doing something, you might see no results whatsoever, but then eventually they'll compound. So right now, this YouTube channel is a great example of that. I put in a lot of work in the first few videos, not that many subscribers. Personally, I think it's amazing that even one person subscribes, because I mean, who would find this kind of stuff interesting? But I guess there's more than one person. It's easy to get discouraged in the early days because you're not seeing the linear result you're expecting. You're seeing the exponential, which grows more slowly at the start, but eventually there's a tipping point, a point of intersection. If you're into math, then you actually grow a lot faster than linear results. And James Clear calls it the valley of despair, is when your exponential is below your linear expectations. Lesson number 2. Habits are really about identity change. Behavior change is simply the means to get there. It's a feedback loop. So that's a big one for me, because I realized that we're not trying to change our behavior, we're trying to change who we are. And it's a feedback loop. So for example, if you believe that you're a healthy person, then you're more likely to do healthy behaviors. And when you're doing healthy behaviors, you're more likely to be a healthy person, and so on. And it goes the other way around as well, right? Like if you think you're a healthy person, but you smoke cigarettes and you go to bed late and all those things, eventually you might realize, or at least like lessen that belief that you're a healthy person. So the goal is really identity change, because they take care of each other, right? And I think he talks about the onion or something like that. It's like 3 layers. So you start with identity, and then the systems, and then the actual behaviors. So we want to move inside out instead of behavior, systems, identity. Lesson number 3. The reward that closes the habit loop is often the satisfaction of the craving. We don't desire external behaviors, we want the sensations that come with it. So that one was a big one for me as well, because I used to think that we need a treat when we do a routine. So for example, we do a workout, then we need to treat ourselves with candy or ice cream or something like that. But often it's more, you have a craving. Let's say you crave popcorn. You're not satisfied with the popcorn. That's not the reward. It's the sensation, the pain, the craving that goes away. That is your reward, and that feeds the habit loop. Lesson number 4. Stop trying to be a hero. A good quote that summarizes this is, environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. So what I mean by stop trying to be a hero is that we don't have unlimited willpower. We think what we set our minds to, we actually do. It's not how things work, right? Like the environment is very powerful on our behavior. You can have the best plan, you can set your New Year's resolution, but odds are they're not going to happen. So make sure you build your systems on the lowest common denominator. Assume that you're lazy. Assume that you won't do it. So try to build your systems with that in mind, to put the bar low so you can always clear it, essentially. Lesson number 5. That's a big one for me. The goal is not to fill your day with meaningless life hacks. Focus on the big rocks and learn to embody your values/identity with small wins. Standardize before you optimize. So what this means for me is, nowadays we're always filled with things we should be doing, and we're told take a cold shower, wake up at 5 a.m., all those things. And maybe that's for you. Odds are it probably isn't, right? Well, it depends on your personality, and that's what I've realized. It really depends on your personality. But find your big rocks. I also just wrote an article on this, so that's going to be in the description below as well. But find your pillars. What actually drives the needle in your life? What are you trying to do? If you're trying to be happy, maybe cutting sleep to wake up at 5 a.m. to be more productive isn't productive. So make sure that you don't fill your day with life hacks, and build a minimalist habits approach. So take the least amount of habits as you can if you want to. Lesson number 6. Sometimes success is less about making good habits easy and more about making bad habits hard. A story that comes to mind here is that it's a movie with Kevin Hart and The Rock. I don't remember the title, but Kevin Hart used to be a stud in high school and asked The Rock, who used to get bullied and stuff, "Oh, how did you get so jacked?" He's like, "Oh, super easy. I worked out every day for 2 hours for 20 years. And that just reminds me that, yeah, there's no amount of making it easy. Even if you take out your gym clothing the night before and you put your shoes in place and your gym is nearby, or you put your yoga mat down on the floor, like, sure, that makes things easier and that helps. But sometimes it's a lot more about making bad habits hard. Because for me anyways, my philosophy is not to do a bunch of things in my life. It's more I'm trying to limit the things that take me away from what I'm trying to do. So I'm not trying to fill my days. I'm more trying to eliminate the things that waste time in my day. So I'll make bad habits hard. So one example of doing that, for example, would be to not buy junk at the grocery store. I'm completely fine with eating junk, but I'm making it that much harder to eat junk when I don't have it in the house, for example. Lesson number 7. Focus on the decisive moments. Which habit or decision has a domino effect on the rest of your day? For me, there's many of them, but one of them would be to make my bed. I think making your bed is kind of useless. It doesn't serve anything. You're just going to go right back into bed. But at the same time, it's your first small win that carries throughout the day. And when you make your bed, I tend to actually do more and feel better about myself throughout the day. So that's one example. Another example would be I don't touch my phone first thing in the morning. That's a big one, because when I'm on my phone, next thing you know, I'm still in a sleepy state. I spend 45 minutes or more on my phone, and that has a huge domino effect on the rest of my day. So again, that kind of ties into the previous rule. I put my phone in a box somewhere I can't see it, so automatically I make that bad habit more difficult. Lesson number 8. Track process metrics over outcome metrics. We can't control the outcomes. Identify what's showing up. So this one comes in when you're tracking your habits. Let's say you're trying to lose weight, for example. That's the outcome metric. That's the thing you're trying to minimize, right? So it might not make sense to weigh yourself every day. Maybe it does if you like the numbers and all those things. And I think there's research showing that it can be good, and there's also research showing it can be bad psychologically as well. But who knows, right? But my point is that you can track a process metric. So for example, instead of tracking weight, the thing you're trying to do to lose weight is to work out more, let's say. Well, you could track how many times you work out. So that way you identify what's showing up, and you don't identify with things you can't control. Because ultimately, when you think about it, you can't really control your weight. You can only control the behaviors that will lead you to losing weight. So that's kind of what James is trying to say here. It's the same thing in sports. I'm working in sports analytics right now. Let's say you're trying to get more goals or something. Doesn't make sense to track goals. It makes sense to track the things that lead to goals. So shots or face-off wins or whatever it is, right? Lesson number 9. Commitment devices are a powerful tool when combined with social accountability. Design your social environment. A commitment device is basically, there's a lot of them, but one example is that I have a little Facebook group that I commit to a habit, let's say I want to do, and if I don't do it that day, I need to e-transfer everyone in the group $1. So that's just a small thing, right? $1, it doesn't make the difference, but it actually does make a big difference, and you'd be surprised how on the days you wouldn't do it, you're more likely to do it with that. And sometimes you won't do it, and that's okay, but it adds that much social accountability. And it's the same thing with having a gym buddy. Let's say you always go to the gym with the same person. and they text you, hey, what time are you picking me up? You're that much more likely to go to the gym on a day where you might not otherwise. Lesson number 10. Genes do not eliminate the need for hard work. They clarify it. They tell us what to work on. So here I think what the author is referring to is there's things we're going to be more likely to succeed at than others. So for example, everyone says we should be meditating. So I gave it a good shot, meditated every day for a year, did silent retreats and so on. But it didn't feel right to me. Sometimes it felt right. I definitely gained benefits, and there's a lot more content regarding that's going to come, and that is already on the website. But basically there's things that feels more natural to me that give me the same result. For example, I like walking in silence every day. That's a form of peace and stillness that I get in a reflection practice. So writing is another example that writing feels right to me. Whereas it's just clarifying your thoughts, and it's kind of the same thing with meditations. Obviously there's separate benefits from doing meditation every day, but most of the results can be achieved with something that I feel more natural at. The idea is that if you know yourself, you won't have to swim against the current all the time. Those were the 10 lessons I picked up from reading Atomic Habits. I'm sure you'll pick up 10 new ones. That's a good thing about good books, is that every time you reread it, or if someone else reads it, they're going to pick up new things. If you want to buy the book, you can hit the link in the description. I'll get a few % from that purchase, so I really appreciate that. And honestly, the best way to support this channel is just to share this video with people who you think might appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.